the spotlight. So just to introduce you before I do that, so Kim, would you love for you to share obviously what you did before, why you chose Supermums, and what you do now, like what it's like on day to day. So I'll spotlight you, and then everybody can listen to your story. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi everybody. So I prior to doing a course through Supermums, I used to be a vet nurse, so completely non-technical. I didn't even know what Salesforce was 2 years ago. Never heard of it in my life. So, and a friend of mine, I was looking to change jobs. I just really fell out of love with the job. And I was looking for something flexible, better paid, something that had loads of progression opportunities and learning. And it was a friend who recommended Salesforce because obviously Trailhead and all of the amazing learning that you can do, off your own back on Trailhead, which was great. Obviously, read into it, and was doing some Trailheads and following trail mixes, just off my own back. And then I don't know how I heard about Supermums, but I guess when you're looking for Salesforce, it's sort of everywhere. I definitely was a target audience, but I read about it, and what made me want to choose to go on the course was a bit more accountability, a bit more structure, because there's so much on Trailhead that I think you could just go on and on and on and on and never really know when you were ready to sort of take the next step to do your certification or start looking for a job. So it was a bit more accountability, and also a bit of support and community there. So that's sort of why I chose to go through Supermums versus just being self-taught. And obviously the support with my mentor, which I'm still in touch with her. So I was in the Feb 23 cohort. So did my course last year. I did obviously my work experience as part of the course towards the tail end, and started looking for jobs in September. And then I had quite a few interviews, and then I got the job that I'm in now. I think it started the 4th of December. So it wasn't actually a massive window between starting to look for jobs and actually getting the job that I wanted. So I consider myself really lucky. So I work for Places Leisure now as a Salesforce admin. So I'm in part of the IT team. So I'm the only Salesforce person for leisure, and we have 91 sites at the moment across the UK. So it's quite a big company. I manage about 760 users. And we also feed into Places for People, the group. So they have a big Salesforce team in group. We saw like 20, 30 people, something like that, I think. So there's sort of experience that I can feed into there as well. So that's really where I'm at, really enjoying it actually. So obviously massive change. It's a mute situation again.
Kim. I know I keep turning myself off so it doesn't interrupt you. And it must be nice being part of a team where you've got a bit of support. So you're not working as a solo admin there then?
No. I think it's all been a massive learning curve for them as well, because they'd used Salesforce previously and then turned it off and turned it back on again for one reason or another not long before I started. And they'd created this role, so it didn't exist before. So at the start, it was very much, we was all kind of finding our feet. So obviously my first Salesforce role, so I was learning. And because I sort of help manage the app that sits on the bigger org as part of the group, that we're sort of learning where we go in terms of change management, and sort of getting permission that way. Sorry, I was having some technical difficulties here. Hang on, something in my way. So sort of finding where I fit into the Salesforce team and group. So it's sort of a bit of a dotted line where I have my manager and then the director there that are my line managers, but they don't spend any time in Salesforce. They're not Salesforce professionals. They know of it, but they don't really know anything about it. But then I do have a teaming group with architects and engineers and things that I can float stuff past and then go through the change management processes and things with them. So yeah, I've learned from what I've learned starting in December to where I am now is incredible. I can look back at the stuff that I've done at the start and think, what was I thinking? What on earth did I decide to do it that way for? And even now, today I was just reviewing a roadmap and looking back at the plans that I'd made for the last quarter, and I think I can tell from how I've written it that I just understand the process is so much more. It's such a massive learning curve, and I think I was very lucky in that when I applied for my job, I think they'd been through the recruitment process. Somebody else had started, or was planning to start, and it sort of fell through. And I think in that instance, they picked somebody based on having a bit more experience. Whereas when they went to re-recruit, they thought, actually, let's find somebody with the right attitude that fits in with the company, that is going to obviously be willing to learn. And I made a point of saying him. I remember saying him in my interview to my boss, who is my boss now. I said, I know you're going to interview people and you're going to have a lot of competition for this that are going to have a lot more experience than I do. But you can see from what I've done this past 12 months that I'm willing to put the work in. I'm willing to learn. And I might make mistakes, but I might not have the experience, but obviously, I'm willing to put the work in, and I think that really had a massive impact on the outcome of getting a job.
Fantastic.
Sure.
And how did you find out about that job, Kim?
I think it was LinkedIn. And I almost didn't even remember it, when it come round, because you do apply to quite a few. And actually the salary was higher than what I'd been interviewing for. It was I'd had my third interview that day, and I had a second interview lined up straight after, and they called me straight after the interview to offer me the job. And I was like, yes, thank you, yes please, absolutely, yeah, bit the hand off for it. The job that I was interviewing for later in the day was, I think, 10,000 less than the job that I ended up accepting in the end.
Amazing.
So I felt incredibly lucky, and yeah, I've ended up in a really good team, really supportive people, and loads of opportunity to grow. So yeah, really grateful.
Oh, I'm delighted for you. No, that's wonderful. And the thing is, you will keep rebuilding the system and finding a better way, right? It's inevitable.
Yeah, isn't it? It's always, I think, and I don't think you'll ever stop learning in this role. And it's one of the reasons what attracted to me in the first place is that I've got quite a learner mindset, and I'm constantly wanting to know why things happen. There's still things now that I think I've been trying to find out the answer to this question since I started in this job. I've been doing it now over 6 months, and I still don't have a clue. So, but you it's part of the job, isn't it? It's all learning, and it's like any new job. So, I mean, even talking about creating a roadmap, I've never created a roadmap in my life. I'm not even sure I've ever looked at a roadmap in my life. I had no idea how to create one. So just even like the business processes and like there's so many different platforms for so many different things. Being part of the IT team that was so broad, it's not just Salesforce. So I have no idea if they were talking about a person or a platform. No clue.
But yeah, and I think it's important that what you said about a learning mindset, because I think the reality is in the Salesforce is every day you are going to have to research and find a solution to a problem, because that's what the job actually is. It's learning, solving problems for people and researching. And every project I've ever worked on, overseen over 700, but I've worked on 100 like practically myself, and every project will be, right, how do I do that again? How do I, and so you will constantly learning. So it does suit somebody that enjoys that thirst for learning, problem solving, creativity, finding out, fact finding, rather than feeling like, oh, I must know the answer. Like, it's okay if you don't know the answers all the time.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And I think every conversation that I have with any other Salesforce professional, whether it's some different group, and we're not even talking about something directly related to what I'm doing. I've picked something up, or I'm involved in some other testing that's happening, and I can see one of the other engineers navigating the system. I think, oh, I never do it that way. And that's another thing that you just constantly learn. I think I don't think I quite realised when I started the job on how much, and I think that was definitely something that I had to sort of take on board as well, that I didn't realise on how much of your time is spent actually fixing things or solving problems. I think I was possibly a bit naive in thinking that I was going to go into it and be constantly on creating things and building new things, but actually a lot of the job is maintaining what's to make sure everything's still currently working, and not also beating yourself up for it when it's not working, because at the end of the day, that's the reason you are employed. That is your job, because things do go wrong sometimes, or things happen that you don't expect, and that you couldn't have planned for, but your job is there to, even if you're not directly fixing the issue yourself, it's to chase it and to manage it and to make sure that it gets resolved. So
yeah, absolutely. I say my favorite mantra is, I'm here to make you happy. Like, my job is making people happier by solving things and making things better for them, and that's a really rewarding part of the job, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. And it's why we're here, it's why we're getting paid, isn't it? So
yeah, to make everybody happy, and then if they're happy, you're happy, and there you go. It's a job well done. Thank you, Kim. I will throw back. Shruti, are you still there, my dear? I just wanted to know how you found your job opportunity, because I think that's something we quite often get asked. How did you find out about your job opportunity, Shruti?
I think LinkedIn. Not. I don't know actually. I just yeah. Because the first job I got was working as a Salesforce administrator with a charity, and that was purely, I think, like word of mouth, known to known contacts. Somebody knew that I was doing this course, and they needed an admin for their organization who was implementing Salesforce. So I just found that. And then my current role, I don't know, I was just applying everywhere as a consulting person, and then I just found one. So yeah, it's hard, but
And people speak very highly, I think, I mean, I met your manager when we were at Salesforce, and he obviously speaks very highly. And I think the difference is a lot of you coming with that mature talent and experience and transferable skills. And when I spoke to a consultancy on Friday, who actually also has hired two of our Supermums, he said, it takes me pretty much 2 weeks to get you onboarded and up and running on projects, as opposed to perhaps somebody like a graduate who's brand new to the market, where he can say it can take 2 months to make them billable. So there is, an easier and a much easier sort of inroad into transferring skills and relaunching your career if you're selling all those skills that you've got. So, it's amazing to hear you guys doing so well.
Absolutely. Even at job, then when I had to sort of mentor in a few new people who've joined, I think there's so much difference. And because like you said, if they are very young and if they don't come from a work experience background, then you are actually training them not just how to do the work, but also how there are a lot of soft skills that you are training them. It's like sometimes if you tell them once, it's not enough. You need to tell them and then follow up. And so which, if, like you rightly said, if we are career transitioning, I think it's not one of the things that I thought very highly of when I was doing this, when I was transitioning. I thought I didn't know, but I think we undervalue ourselves, especially as women. And that's one of my big takeaway. And the other thing is, like, it's interesting how Kim was saying that we are fixing things, but then we are also fixing a lot of things, not because something went wrong, but also technology is changing. So the I think the mindset to keep learning needs to be there even after you've landed into your first job.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah, because technology, I mean, the Salesforce technology continues to evolve and develop, and then also companies still continue to need new things, right, and new solutions. So like you say, it's not fixing something that wasn't always done right in the first place. It's everything's always evolving. So thank you. No, really good sort of thoughts. Any questions for either of our two lovely guest speakers before I let them head off into the night? Relax. Thank you for joining us so late in the evening. Really appreciate it. And we'll share, if anybody's obviously reach out to them on LinkedIn if you have any other questions.